My name is Tim Sheehan. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Xperience. Along with me today is Mr. Marcus Williams, truly the brains of the outfit. He is our Senior Sales Engineer, has been with Xperience for quite some time, so knows our solutions in depth. In the rare case that you're not familiar with all of the solutions that we have in our X360 platform, all of those weapons in your arsenal to be able to protect data and recover data. We have our X360 Sync solution, which is our collaborative file and sync and share solution, real-time backup, real-time collaboration. This is a built-for-business solution designed for MSPs. We also have our X360 Cloud solution. So think about all that data that Microsoft is telling that you need to back up. So you got Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange Online. So all files, folders, libraries. We're going to be able to protect you with that. We also are able to protect Google Workspace as well if you have some customers with that. And last but certainly not least is our X360 Recover solution. That's our flagship technology. That is our file server and workstation backup and disaster recovery tool. And we have two flavors of that. We have our traditional appliance-based approach, and we also have in those scenarios where maybe an appliance may not make sense either logistically or fiscally. We have our direct cloud option as well. And Marcus is going to cover that in depth. So before we talk about X360 Recover, let's talk about the problems that we're trying to solve for you guys. And this is the feedback that we get from you guys through the peer groups, through Reddit, through the forums, through the events. And we try to kind of bucket these issues around data protection and the difficulties you guys are having. No surprise, security threats continue to be the number one issue that you guys are contending with today. And that obviously is not going to go away. Some security experts are saying that may actually increase due to some retaliation around Western sanctions against Russia. So we'll see what happens there. Lack of technical talent and resources. We know this is an issue for you. We know that you guys are struggling with this on a regular basis, trying to find good talent, trying to retain good talent, try to find those T3 engineers. And you guys just went through this great resignation, and some say we're still actually going through it. So that's an issue, and making sure that we're staying competitive as far as wages go. Hybrid and remote workforces. Obviously, this has been a challenge for over a decade at this point, but it rapidly accelerated in the last couple of years due to the pandemic. So that introduced some new challenges for you. Increasing tech stack complexity and vendor shakeups. Yeah, we know, we get it. Like vendor shakeups, it happens all the time, acquisitions, mergers. And that causes a lot of concern for a lot of folks where, hey, is the acquirer going to take my solution in the direction that I want them to take it in? Or am I going to get the same service level? Concerns there as well. And then, lastly is, the outdated storage and billing models. A lot of MSPs are experiencing a lot of just concern and worry around and time wasted about managing their storage with their BCDR vendor and reconciling that bill at the end of the month, making sure what they believe they use is exactly what the vendor is charging them. And then you've got, these billing models where folks are trying to force people into 3-year contracts. And, that's what we're trying to solve for with our X360 platform, to be able to, provide a solution that can cover you as far as those security aspects, where you don't need, potentially a T3 engineer to be able to manage the solution, and not force you into, lengthy contracts and things like that. And that's what our X360 platform is designed to do, to cover all those different scenarios that you guys can kind of bring to the table. And we know that your customers are bringing you a lot of unique scenarios. So, whether that is protecting workstations or protecting servers, whether it's appliance-based or whether it's direct to cloud, all that data in the public cloud that you guys need to back up and be able to recover as well. And also all that Microsoft 365 data that we talked about, that Microsoft is telling you that you need to be able to that you need to back up and recover as well. What's so unique about Xperience? What do we do differently? There's other vendors out there that are in the space. There's actually quite a few things that we do different. We do very uniquely. I listed a few of them here. One is the fact that we are truly a chain-free technology. We're the only folks out there that actually are completely chain-free. That means all of our incremental backups are independent of each other. So there's no need to reseed to the cloud. managing those massive chains, so you don't have to worry about that data bloat, right? We're also we like to consider ourselves a BCDR company with a security focus. And so we implement a lot of security measures into all of our solutions. One of those is our patented air gap technology. And our air gap technology, very cool. What it does, it separates the process of data deletion from the actual mechanics behind it. And what I mean by that is if there were some kind of bad actor that were able to infiltrate your infrastructure or your customer's infrastructure, was able to get access to that data and delete that data or encrypt that data, we actually still have access to your data through a verification process. We identify it's you. We're able to restore that data for you because we've kept it for an extended period of time. One of the things that we hear often from our partners is our flexibility. We're trying to accommodate all those different scenarios that you guys are seeing from your customers. That's hey, I need to have an appliance here, or I need to have a direct cloud offering here. Maybe I want to use my own hardware for an appliance, or I want to use your appliance. If you want to use your cloud, you can use your cloud. If you want to use our cloud, you can use our cloud. So it's about accommodating all those different scenarios that you guys can bring to the table. And lastly is addressing that one pain point that you guys are talking about all the time, which is the worry-free pricing aspect. That the fact that you're reconciling your bill, you're worrying about overages on your storage, you're worrying about whether you actually have to pass that overage cost back to your customer. With our licensing model, that's non-existent. All of our licensing is based on a per workstation, per server model. So it's a flat fee. So it takes that worry out of the pricing model. So I know you guys want to get to what the meaning of the matter is. That is actually jumping into the demo of the solution. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Marcus Williams, who's going to jump in at this point and show you the solution.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Get everything shared out here. All right. So, guys, we're going to cover our Xperience X360Recover direct-to-cloud technology. We're going to walk you through deploying the software. We're going to walk you through some recovery options and also talk about our DR of recovery as well. Everything starts in our partner portal. Each of your techs are going to have their own access, their own username and password with 2FA to access our Xperience world. Here you have access to everything Xperience related. So contacts internally, billing, ticketing. We have additional training available for you. And also a marketing portal, which is pretty good. Now to access your BDR world, we're going to click on our X360Recover tab, and it's going to take you to your BDR management. From here, we're going to present you with your dashboard. Now your dashboard comes with two options. Here we have a nice basic overview for a lot of your executive team so they can see exactly what's going on across all of your clients that you're deploying. We don't care if you're leveraging a local BDR or using direct to cloud, you're still managing everything from the same umbrella. Our second view is going to be more for your tech team or your NOC center. Here we have a view that just lists all the devices that we're protecting and whether they're in trouble or a healthy state. So from this quick view, this updates as frequently as every 5 minutes. They have instant access to all the devices that you're managing, and they can see what devices are outside of the threshold that you set. We're able to communicate via email. We have integration within ConnectWise and AutoTask ticketing as well with our API integration. From our clients tab, we're going to separate all of your, as you add new clients to the technology, each client's going to have its own tab. From within this client tab, you can actually click on that client's name and just see the devices that you're managing for them, allowing you to kind of separate your clients. Now we're going to go all the way down to our vaults here. Our vault is our offsite repository. This is where your offsite backups reside, and also this is where we're going to set up your direct-to-cloud deployment. So we're going to go to that UI here. All right. From this UI, again, you can see all of your devices being deployed or being sent to our Xperience cloud for backup, offsite backup. Before we deploy any agents for direct to cloud, the first thing that we're going to do is set up your backup policy. You're going to have as many policies as you need. There's no limitations here. And I recommend setting up a policy based on location that you're deploying to. We're going to give this policy a name. We're going to use our policy base schedule. And this consists of a three-part setup. First step is to establish business hours. In my example, we're Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Step two, we're going to create our backup schedule. So what type of backup do you want to do during business hours? What type of backup do you want to do during non-business hours? Here, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., we're going to back up every hour. Between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m., we're going to do every 6 hours. So I'm going to get at least 2 backups at night if that device is on. Now, third and most important step is our throttling. We give you the ability to throttle both disk I/O and network bandwidth. For your disk I/O, you're going to leave it at its default, so really no need to modify that. But for your network bandwidth, we want to make sure we're not saturating the network during business hours. So I'm going to limit my upload speed to 5 megs during business hours and leave it unlimited on non-business hours. This is going to be per agent. So if I'm deploying 5 agents to this network, we're going to use 25 megs per second during business hours. So keep that in mind. Once you have your policy created, we're going to go down to our Clients tab. And this is where you'll be able to add clients that you're deploying to. So you'll be able to add a new client here, create company name and username. Once you have that client created, they're going to show up on this list. And to the right, you're going to have your direct-to-cloud agent. With our technology, we support Windows operating systems. So we're talking Windows 7 and above for your client OSs, and Windows Server 2003 or 2 and above for your server operating systems. The good thing about this agent is that we have 2 really good benefits here. The first benefit is that this agent can be deployed silently. So if you're using group policy, your RMM tool, you can use our silent parameters to deploy across multiple devices. The second benefit of this agent is that we don't require a reboot after installation. So your team can deploy this technology during normal business hours, and you don't have to worry about rebooting those production servers for your end users. As soon as that agent is installed, that device is going to show up under our protected systems here. Go to my devices here. You'll see that device name, operating system, what volumes are selected. We'll make sure it's linked to the right client, and we'll assign our backup job. At this point, we're off to the races. We're protecting that device. If I click on this device name, we're going to give you more information about this device. So we're going to give you volume info, hardware architecture information. You'll be able to set your retention here in the top. Again, we provide you with unlimited retention and storage. So you can set a basic retention where you're keeping data for 30 days a year here, or you can use our tiered model, which is your traditional retention, your grandfather, father-son roll-up, where we're taking your dailies, sending your dailies to weeklies, weeklies to monthlies, and monthlies to yearlies. A lot of our partners take advantage of our unlimited retention by putting -1 here for your yearlies. So with that -1 stated there, we're going to keep those yearlies indefinitely. And again, because we provide you unlimited storage and retention in the cloud, you're going to have that consistent monthly bill month over month here. With our direct-to-cloud technology, we also have the ability to leverage our local cache option. This is highly recommended, especially if you're backing up servers for a client. Our local cache is an optional add-on that you can do, no additional cost. But with local cache, we're leveraging any USB drive, local disk, NAS, network attached storage. We're creating a storage or a share for us to point to. And instead of us sending a backup directly to the cloud, we're going to actually send a copy to this local repository. I have a Synology share set up on my network, so I'm hitting that device, created a share, created a directory, and now our backups are going to the directory and to the cloud at the same time. The benefit of having this local cache created is that when it's time for you to do recovery, we don't have to download anything from the cloud. We're pulling everything from that local repository, which is pretty powerful. One thing that we're going to provide for you with our direct-to-cloud deployment is our auto-verify. With our auto-verify feature, we're going to run this once a week for your servers and once every 2 weeks for your workstations. With this feature, we're going to take the last snapshot, spin it up, provide you with this screenshot. But in addition to that, we're going to do additional tests. So we're going to check VSS to make sure that's healthy, and we're going to do a check this scan to make sure you don't have any bad sectors in your volumes that we're protecting. If I scroll down, we have our snapshots. These snapshots are created based on the job we assign. And again, with our chain-free backup technology, each of these restore points are unique from one another. So if I got hit with ransomware at 9 a.m., I can go to this 8 a.m. snapshot and restore that data unaffected by the virus. It's pretty neat. Now to the right, you're going to have your restore options. So we give you 2 options to restore from the Vault UI. The first option is going to be our export. This is going to be your full image download from the Vault itself. So you can download that full image from any point in time in any of these formats. It's going to be used for bare metal restore or just restoring directly to a data store if you're already virtualized. Our next type of restore is going to be our mount. This is going to be your file and folder recovery. Here, we'll take any point in time, we'll redirect you to our built-in file browser, and this is going to give you the ability to navigate through that volume, through that directory, identify what files and folders you're looking for, and we can download that through your browser back to your device. So each of your clients is going to have their own folder. If I had a full image, I will be able to download that from here. But then we have our mounted volumes. I'm going to hit that C volume. And now I can navigate through the tree, identify what files and photos I need to restore. Right-click on that, and we'll download that through the browser. This is a good feature, especially if you're downloading a single file or a small amount of data. If you ever have a use case where you need to download a full image or restore a full volume, downloading over the internet can be tricky because if your internet hops, you have to start all over again. In that scenario, you're going to go to our network sharing here and enable our FTPS server. This allows you to use whatever FTP client that you're familiar with, so FileZilla, WinSCP, and it's going to give you a more stable download over the internet. If your internet hops, you can resume where you left off from. So, pretty neat tool. In addition to being able to recover from the cloud through your vault here, under our downloads, we give you another tool called Recovery Center. This is an exe that can be installed on any Windows device. Through this tool, you're able to restore from the local cache if you have this set up, but also we can download data from the vault if needed as well. So let's transition to my Windows device here. So I have my Recovery Center installed, and once your tech team logs in here, you're going to have our recovery options. Now, the cool thing about this Recovery Center is that if I install this on a server with the Hyper-V role enabled, I can virtualize on that host. So, perfect example, I have a client, we set up file server enablement, that file server dies. I'm right down the street, I have a Hyper-V host that I can set up at that location. I go by and set up that appliance, I install Recovery Center on that box, and now I can virtualize that file server instantly on that hardware. So we're going to select our server that we want to virtualize on. We're going to select the date we want to use. So let's choose a random date here. We're going to create the disk automatically. I want to restore from my local cache here, so let's pull from that repository. All right, hit my share, hit my directory. I'm going to put in those credentials here to authenticate. Now, once I'm authenticated, we're actually going to create the VM for you through this tool. So give this VM a name. We're going to allocate 2 cores. So let's give it one more. Let's do 8 gigs of RAM. And we're going to boot this machine on start. So click start. This is where we're going to keep the metadata for that VM. Click next. We're going to choose a drive letter that we're going to mount. We're going to create an iSCSI mount, attached storage mount for that VHC file. And we're ready to rock and roll. So at this point, we're decrypting the data. We're downloading our hash file. So data is encrypted in transit and at rest on that local cache. So any data on that local cache is encrypted. That this is ever compromised, you can't do anything with the data because the data is encrypted. So the first thing that we're going to do is download that hash file to decrypt the data for those points in time. So we're going to get that downloaded here. We have 2 volumes, so we're going to get 2 here. All righty. And then next, we're going to download our partitioning here for that VM. So we'll get past this point before we move on. Now, as we talk about our other recovery options, in the background, you'll see us create that A volume for the VHC file, but also you're going to see us create that VM within my Hyper-V management server. So kind of keep an eye on that as we talk about the additional recoveries here. So another recovery that we can do through this recovery center is we can do a file and photo recovery. Well, in addition to a file and photo recovery, we can do a disk export, so export in any format that's needed, or we can just do a simple file and photo recovery. So we'll walk through that process as well, kind of do 2 at once. So select our device. I'm going to select a different point in time here. I'm going to do it from the local cache, from the cache as well. So hit my share. Put in those credentials, just like before. And now I'm going to choose that volume I want to use. Because this is 2 volumes, I'm going to use my Y. Here, that's going to use my Y and Z, create a Y and Z drive for me here. We'll start that recovery. And while this recovery is kicking off, you may have already noticed we have this test VM up and running already, and that VHC file available. those VC files available for transfer. So we can copy and paste these and put this in your data store for Hyper-V to kind of run the production. Now, if you have storage motion, we can copy those in real time and kind of move those over into your production environment from here. This VM is up and running, so it should be connecting here for us. We'll allow that to kind of boot as we go through the process here. There we go. I need one. Let's do it one more time here. Wait for it to clear out. So as you can see with our Recovery Center, we're going to give you a lot of options through this tool. We give you a lot of flexibility to really run as a VM. And let me reconnect here. There we go. Run as a VM through Hyper-V host, or we can do just a simple file and folder recovery as before. So with that file and folder recovery, you're downloading our last hash file here. Under this PC, you're going to notice our volumes kind of create here. So we'll wait for that action to occur. Let's check our portal, see if you have any additional questions while we're waiting. So again, guys, really powerful technology, and it's all about flexibility for your techs. Your techs have the ability to log into the partner portal to do recovery, or they can carry this tool around them as part of their toolkit, and anywhere they have internet connectivity, they can always do recovery from the vault or from the local cache if you have that on the client side. So we're creating those volumes here for my file and folder recovery. So it should pop up here pretty shortly. And guys, I'm running all of this on a Windows 10 desktop, almost a Nook. So my Windows 10 operating system, I enabled the Hyper-V role. So this is actually not using a lot of resources. This tool is pretty unintrusive. I mean, you don't need a super server to kind of do this type of restoration. We can run on the bare minimums. So we're creating my 2 disks here for my file and folder recovery for my 2 volumes here. And we're going to rename them to Z and Y, Y and Z. We should be able to access those files and folders here. All right, perfect. So we're ready to rock and roll here. So now I have full access to those files. I can navigate through the tree, identify what files and folders I'm looking for. I can leverage that search functionality if I'm searching for a particular file. But this kind of gives you another option to do that type of recovery. So depending on the scenario, your techs can use whatever works best for them. Now we'll come back here once we finish toward the end to kind of show you that VM up and running. But next I want to talk about our DR spin up. So in this scenario, your techs get a call from your client. Hey, we had a fire, flood, something happened to our hardware, we need to be up and running. From that initial call, your tech is going to log into our management portal here. We're going to click on clients. We're going to click on the client that went down. So let's use this environment. Once you're in that client's world, once we load here, you're going to have the ability to use our recovery wizard to the top right. I'm going to select that. For it to pop up for me here. There we go. From here, your client's going to be able to, your tech's going to say, make it virtual. And then from here, we're going to be able to start a virtual office. Now, here we give your techs the keys to the castle here. So as you can see, you're not contacting Axient. You're not waiting on us to initiate that virtual office for you. As soon as you get the call from your client, hey, we're down, we're going to get you up and running here. Now, from here, I already have the virtual office going. We're going to give you an option to put this in test mode or production mode. We'll come back and show you that later. Now, we give you 30 days per calendar year to use this service included with your contract. So a lot of our partners, they use 20 days to put it in their back pocket for their true DR scenario and use the remaining 10 days for DR testing throughout the year. Again, it's your time. Use it as you see fit. Now, to assist you with this spin up, we're going to provide you with runbooks. Now, think of your runbooks as a template of how you want that environment to boot. You can have as many runbooks as you need for any types of scenarios that you can think of for that particular client. We'll walk you through a runbook creation here to load. Let's try it one more time. There we go. So we'll edit this runbook. Step 1, we're going to give this runbook a name. Step 2, we're going to select what devices you want to include within this runbook. So you may be protecting 20 devices. Sorry, here. There we go. Let's do it one more time here. So you may be protecting 20 devices for a client, but you only need 8 of those devices for a DR scenario. So here you'll be able to click those 8 devices that's important to you. Once you have those devices selected, we'll click Next. Next, we have our boot order. We're going to provide you with 3 priorities, high, medium, and low. And this gives you the ability to categorize what servers go in what priority. In this example, I have 3 servers in my high priority. We're going to say my GTX server is my domain controller. I want that to boot first. So for these other 2 devices, we're going to put a 15-minute wait time. When I kick off this script, we're going to start with my high priority, starting with my GTX server, my domain controller. We're going to wait 15 minutes, then boot these 2 servers. Then we're going to go to my medium, follow those instructions, and then to the low and follow those instructions. This gives you the ability to really create that staggered boot order needed for each of your custom environments that you're managing. Now, for each of these VMs, we can allocate 16 cores and 32 gigs of RAM. And if you have any static IP addresses assigned, we're going to keep those static IPs assigned to these VMs running in the cloud. So you don't have to make any changes. Next, we're going to have our network orchestration. Here, we're going to recreate the network that went down. So we're going to provide you with our gateway, subnet mask. So you really create the network that went down. If you need to add VLANs, you can here. We're going to enable outbound access if needed for internet communication. Our last, 5th, and final step here, and let me cancel this out. There we go. It's going to be a user connectivity. Here, we provide you with tools for connections for your users. So for a single user, we provide you with SSL VPN client, an SSL VPN client. This is a Juniper Pulse client that we provide for you. We support 70 concurrent users. So you can set up your network settings here. And then at the bottom, you create authentication for your users. We can create those username and passwords manually. Or if we have AD running in our cloud or any hosted anywhere else, we have to have them hit that AD server. That way they can use the same username and password that they're familiar with. Once you have this all set up, we're going to provide you with a URL. You're going to give that to the user working from home. They're going to hit that URL from their home device. They're going to authenticate. Once authenticated, we're going to silently install a Juniper Pulse client to that device. Once activated, they'll have access to these servers running in the cloud. So a really smooth process. Our next option for deployment is going to be our site-to-site VPN. So this is going to be for that scenario where, hey, site A went down, everybody work at site B. If at site B you have a firewall or router that supports IPsec VPN, we can securely connect to that hardware, allowing any user on that network access to these servers in the cloud. If you don't have that hardware with that IPsec VPN support, we can create that for you using OpenVPN. We're going to create a VM here. We're going to populate this information. Once populated, we'll create a .ovf file. You'll run that at the secondary site using VM Player or VM Workstation. You don't need a fully XSI server. Once you have that VM running, we'll give you information to put in the router. Once that information is entered, that router is going to redirect all traffic to go through this endpoint, serving as your site-to-site VPN. So again, we can use your hardware or create a virtual site-to-site, whatever is needed for that location. Our last tool that I want to talk about is our port forwarding. Here, we're going to provide you with 2 public IP addresses. We're going to give you 3 more with support engagement, but this gives you the ability to access any public-facing server. So 443, if you have servers running on port 80, you can use this for terminal services 3389 if you want. But this gives you the ability to, for any need for a public IP address or any public-facing servers, we can have those redirected through our tool here. Once you have your 5th settings configured, we're going to click Next. We're going to provide you with a summary, and we're going to finish editing that runbook. Now, once you have this runbook created, at any point in time, whether you're doing a DR test or running in production, you can select your runbook. So let me select the runbook here. We'll say Run Runbook, and we have the ability to spin it up in test mode or production mode. We'll spin this up automatically based on your instructions and have you up and running within a 1-hour SLA. So now, as you do your DR testing throughout the year, we can make your team more efficient. Instead of your team spending 8 hours doing 1 DR test for a client, you can really quickly spin up 5 clients at once, validate those checkings, and you're done within 4 hours. So again, making your team more efficient, and especially in the DR scenario, you have 1 button to press, we're spinning those environments up, and you just going to your end users, ensuring that they connect to the environment. So guys, I want to thank you again. I know this is a quick demonstration of our technology. Let me show you a VM up and running here from our connect here. Show you our VM running from our host here. So now we're off and running on that VM. We can access this VM running and kind of give you full control of that VM here, now that we're virtualized. So again, our X360 Direct Cloud tool is very powerful. We give you a lot of options for recovery and flexibility on how you want to deploy, whether you use our Direct to Cloud feature, which I showed you today, or you go through a local appliance, the traditional way via local appliance. Awesome, guys.